Hey, so if anyone wants to speak, please put your hand up. I'll unmute you. I'm going to unmute the co-founder of Sphynx Labs right now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, we can hear you. How are
Awesome,
you?
awesome. Good, how are you?
Yeah, not so bad. You've had a busy day, right?
Yeah, so far. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty busy, invested in crypto. It's always busy.
There's always something going on.
Right, yeah. We'll just wait and see if more people join. Hoping to get at least to 50. Um, yeah, but we'll begin soon.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I've just set the AMA to record. So we'll begin. So I'm Robotic. I'm the founder of Blockchain Secrets. And today we have Sphynx Labs for an AMA. I will be recording the AMA and it's going to be published on YouTube. It'll also be placed in the chat too, so you can share it with your community. The format of the AMA is a conversation between myself and my team, and we'll have opportunity for questions at the end. We've got some questions on Twitter and also in the main chat one.
So yeah, I remember the Sphinx launch. It was incredibly bullish, and I know there was rumors of $1 million invested into development, and the chart was incredibly good at the beginning. I think it was last year. So we're here to get an update of what's been happening recently, and what's going on right now for Sphinx. So first of all, we have, I believe it's B, is that right? Speaking today.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so could you firstly introduce yourself and tell us about your experience and background?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, my name is B, co-founder with Sphynx. My background's, well, originally my career started in law, actually. I worked as a lawyer for about a year. Um, Found out very quickly that I didn't enjoy it too much, so ended up going into business for myself. And it was around that time that I was introduced to crypto as well, probably very similarly to how most people are, just by someone that they know, right? Whether it be a friend, family member, whatever the case. And for me, it was my brother-in-law. And it's funny because I didn't really, um, I guess you could say I didn't really respect him when it came to money and investments. And so he told me, hey, you should buy this Bitcoin, this Ethereum thing. And whenever I asked him what it was, he couldn't really explain it. So I kind of just brushed it off. But as time went on, every time I'd see him, he'd say, hey, I'm up, a few $1,000 on Bitcoin or a few $1,000 on Ethereum. And eventually I got tired of missing out. And that was when I kind of FOMO'd in and learned more about the space afterwards. And that was towards the end of 2017. And since then, just stayed involved in crypto through the ups and the downs. Always continued educating myself on the tech and new developments and whatnot. And that was all the way through DeFi summer 2018 into the next bull run. And so where Sphynx came into play is Lonzo, the other founder, and myself. We actually ended up in a Telegram group very similar to this one, investor group, whale group, whatever you want to call it. And just noticing that we would always end up buying the same coins. A few times we exited around the same time, and just sharing feedback on projects in the group, we realized we had similar views and ended up advising a project together as well. So that was when we really started developing a relationship, became great friends, and decided that we wanted to build something together. And you know, at the time, it made sense for us to create our own decks because on the BSC, really the only option was Pancake Swap. I mean, Ape Swap was there, but not too many people used it, and a few other forks. But more importantly, we wanted to create a platform that people could use charts on in addition to doing their trades, right? So they wouldn't have to swap between a Pancake and PooCoin, and just create a more seamless experience, right? And that really was the mission. Our mission from the beginning is to create a more seamless crypto experience, whether it's for uh, more seasoned users or for people who are brand new to the space. And as we've developed the project, we've been, constantly adding more utilities and more features that are going to help us do that. So originally, all you could do is swap, but now, like, obviously, we have staking and farming. We have a launch pad now, so projects can come on and launch. They can do raises, pre-sale raises. They can vest their tokens, and they can choose where they want to add liquidity. So if they want to add liquidity on Sphynx or Pancake, or if they're on other chains and they want to use Sphynx or other dexes, they have the flexibility to do that as well. People can come on, they can contribute everything that would need to be done for a pre-sale. They can do it. In addition to that, we have NFT staking as well. So NFT projects can put pools where people can stake their NFTs and earn a token. And what else do we have? We have so much. Our bridge, actually, our stable bridge just launched, and we already have a few $100,000 in liquidity on the bridge. So people can come and bridge stables between Binance Smart Chain and Kronos, which, forgot to mention, we're multi-chain as well. So we started with just the Binance Smart Chain before bridging over to Ethereum, Kronos, and a newer chain called BitGert. So we have quite a bit going on the platform itself.
Awesome.
Development wise, and just about 3 weeks ago we released our mobile app. So what differentiates our mobile app is that everything that you can do natively on the DEX, right, like on the web browser, is embedded within the app.
Yeah.
So it's much faster, it's much smoother, and again, it's just a mobile native experience. So that launched on Google and iOS 3 weeks ago, and we just pushed an update 2 days ago where people can go straight from fiat or their credit or debit card into crypto directly. So that's where we're at right now.
Awesome. So firstly, could you just let us know what your vision and mission is? I know you've touched upon some of your utility, but could you just talk us about, what your vision going forward?
Well, yeah, we want to be a platform that really can be utilized to accelerate mass adoption, right? That's really what it's all about. Because as we're building things out, what we're looking to do is create a user experience that someone who's brand new can just have a smooth onboarding into the space, right? Because if you think about right now, let's say your best friend was to come to you and say, hey, I want to start investing in crypto the way that you do, right? So, that's a bit more in depth than just buying Bitcoin and buying Ethereum on a centralized exchange, right? Let's say they want to participate in decentralized finance and they want to buy smaller caps. Well, that's a bit of a process. Right now, typically, you'd have to make your account on the SEX, you'd have to send money in, you'd have to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum. And let's say, you live in the States or a country where BNB is restricted. Well, now you have to figure out how you're going to get funds onto Binance Chain, right? Whereas what we're looking to do is create an experience where it's as simple as, hey, if your friend wants to get involved, all they have to do is download an app, add a little bit of information, and they're good to go.
Nice. Okay, so could you explain the key concepts of Sphynx?
Key concepts in what sense?
So could you explain like the utility you've delivered today and what's coming next?
Yeah, so I mean, the utility thus far, it's really building that all-in-one platform, right? Where anyone can come on and do anything that they would want or need to do to establish or develop their portfolio in one place. And moving forward, what we have coming is in terms of the mobile app, we're going to have crypto to fiat withdrawals available pretty soon here. So, you'll be able to convert your crypto directly to cash when you want and get that sent directly to your bank account or on your debit card. We're going to be onboarding some new chains as well. We're already on 4 chains. We're going to be expanding the ecosystem into Avalanche, Polygon, Near, I believe, Solana, and a couple of layer twos, Arbitrum and Optimism are on the list right now. And in addition to that, we have an NFT marketplace in development. And down the road, we may be looking at expanding into other or our own layer one solution as well.
Okay, sure. So you have something called Sphynx TV, is that right?
Yeah, we do have Sphynx TV. That's something that is on the roadmap slated towards the end of the year. And that's basically going to be a streaming platform for creators where they can upload their content or stream their live content and earn in crypto.
Okay. And how does that differentiate from other, competitors? I know that we have, like MetaFX and there's other streaming platforms. How are you going to be different from the competitors?
Well, I'm not too familiar with any competitors right now that are allowing creators to earn in crypto. But for us, we want a platform that's decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously is very rewarding for the creators themselves, where the platform itself isn't taking massive fees, right?
Right.
And really just gives the creators the control that they need and that they want to provide their content to their fan base.
Okay, sure. And you mentioned an NFT marketplace. Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, it's funny because the idea that we had Uniswap actually executed on about a month ago. It's tough to compete with Uniswap. They have billions in funding, but they essentially shortcutted it and acquired a platform called Gem.xyz. And what Gem does is they're a marketplace aggregator. So they allow you
Okay.
to view listings across all NFT marketplaces. So, not just OpenSea, but LooksRare, X2Y2, Magic Eden, et cetera, et cetera. And, obviously it's multi-chain too. So they
Mm-hmm.
acquired that. And it essentially allows people to trade across multiple marketplaces natively on Uniswap. And that was about 50 to 60% of our idea. Aside from
Mm-hmm.
that, we wanted to have our own native marketplace as well, where
Mm-hmm.
people could trade on our marketplace in addition to access listings across other marketplaces as well.
Okay, sure. So, for the user, why would we use your marketplace and not the competitor?
Better fees, for one thing. We're looking at taking a very minimal fee. But in addition to that, sorry, I'm getting my son into soccer. In addition
No
to
worries.
that, we want to have some functionality like what LooksRare has, where people can come in and earn a percentage of the fees as well, right? So,
Okay.
if people were to list, for example, or to do purchases,
Yeah.
right? It would give them the ability to, number one, earn fees back, but number two, earn a placeholder token that they can then stake to earn a share of fees
Okay.
as a user.
Okay, cool. And could you explain how limit orders work?
Yeah. So what we've done for the limit orders, we have a partnership with Chainlink and their Keepers program. Chainlink is a blockchain oracle that basically allows us to get extremely accurate data as far as price feeds and whatnot go. So with that, it allows the user to put an order in at a set price.
Yeah.
It gets stored within the keeper, and when the oracle detects that that price is triggered, then their order executes, right?
Okay.
So they can pay that fee, the fee for the oracle, or sorry, the limit order, either in the native token, BNB or Ethereum, or Chronos, or in Sphynx. And obviously if they pay in Sphynx, they get a small discount.
Yeah, it's funny because I was an early investor in Chainlink, and it's nice to see how they've integrated with many tokens that are, have launched or are launching. I think they've got a lot of visibility, which is great. And I'm glad that you
Right.
are working with them. Yeah, yeah, they've done a lot of good things, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know from like, I do know some people in your whale group, and they talk about that you have a lot of utility, but you struggle to get adoption, and I guess that's what you're trying to do right now. What is your plan to get adoption for all this utility that you have, and all the utility you've got coming?
Right. So there are a couple different ways we plan on doing it. Number one is through partnerships, right? Partnering with other projects that have a user base that we can tap into and leverage, hopefully convert people over. But more importantly, just taking unique marketing strategies. I mean, for us, the important thing is just getting people on the platform itself and using the platform, right? Whether or not they buy or trade the token is secondary, right? Because the truth is, if people are able to get access to the application itself and have a good experience there, then when they find out, oh, well, there's an opportunity to earn an income, or have a passive income with the token, that's when they'll get involved on that side. So what we're doing is we're putting together some campaigns with the goal being app downloads and app usage. We're in discussion. Yeah, we're in discussion with a couple of marketing agencies that specialize in working with tech companies and apps specifically for that end goal. So obviously, we're going to be doing the more conventional crypto marketing, but we're also going to be taking an approach that's geared towards apps as well. So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Okay, and can you talk us through some of the statistics with your mobile app, such as usage, performance? Like, what is the feedback from the users that have been using it?
The feedback so far has been great. We've had multiple testimonials from people who have said that it's smoother than MetaMask. There was somebody just, I think, 3 days ago who kept getting a gas or an RPC error on MetaMask. So they loaded their wallet over onto our app, and the transaction went through immediately. So we've had some amazing feedback on that front. In terms of usage and downloads, I believe we have close to 4,000 downloads already. Obviously the number keeps growing every day. Now the hard usage statistics, that I don't have. My partner Alonzo would have that. He has more access to the analytics in the back end. But that's something that I could get that from him and shoot it over to you guys after the call, no problem.
So recently I've seen a news article about a $50 million investment. Is that right?
Yeah. We have an agreement with a venture capital firm called Gem Capital. And they've committed up to $50 million in funding for us over the next 3 years. Yeah, that's correct.
And what does that mean, like, in terms of, what are you going to spend the money on? Say they give you $10 million this year, what would be the use of it?
Yeah, so all the funding, like, really for us, there's development, there's marketing, there's buybacks, and liquidity. That's it. Like, there really isn't much else that we would want or need to spend the funds on outside of that.
So that's like kind of a considerable amount of money considering your market cap on all of your chains. So where do you vision this going? Like kind of say we go for a year from now, what's the target market cap if we're just talking about money?
Well, for us, our goal is to be to hold at least a 9-figure market cap within the next year. I mean, obviously, based on where we're at now, I think we're around 8 million, 8.5 million. Pushing to adding 2 zeros to that seems like a bit of a feat, right? But you know, we're confident that with Gem support and with what we have planned and what we're working on now, that it's definitely something that's attainable.
And Gem Capital, what support could they offer?
Well, really the money, the funds, right? And I think the common misconception people have is that they're giving us 50 million upfront, right? But the way the agreement works is it's essentially a token subscription agreement, right? So when we need or want funds from them, we submit a request and say, hey, we want you guys to purchase X amount of tokens from us. And so from there, what they do is they take a 10-day moving average on the price, and after that 10 days, they buy at the average price, and then so that's essentially how it works. So
and that is it based on some kind of delivery? Like, kind of, do you propose a strategy to them and they will then purchase?
You mean a delivery in terms of our product?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it must be performance based. Like they're not going to just invest $50 million based on nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, obviously, like they do have milestones that they want to see met as far as delivery on utilities. The main thing is, you know, as long as we're showing progress in development side, and you know, we're doing work to get listed on more of the tier 1 exchanges, they're happy campers.
Okay, so you talk about exchanges, like what exchanges are you currently listed on, and have you got any exchanges in mind for the future?
Yeah, so right now we're listed on Bitmart and Sphynx. Bitmart, I believe, is a tier 2 exchange. Sphynx is more of a lower tier exchange. But with that, we do have plans to move onto some tier 1s. You know, obviously we want to be on, you know, Binance. You know, that's the end goal, but there's a process to get there. So we're looking at exchanges right now like Huobi, KuCoin, etc. And that being said, though, you know, it costs quite a great deal of money and great deal of liquidity to get there. So it's in the plans. We're working towards it, but you know, it takes time.
Yeah, I mean, for Binance, you need $2 million, I think, for in liquidity. So, you know, you've got a lot, obviously, of the strategies to get there. But it sounds like you know, you're going in the right direction, and yeah, you're going in the right process in terms of exchanges that are coming next, like KuCoin, for example, which is much easier to get on. So in terms of your, you know, your marketing, you know, there's many projects that offer, you know, launch pads, bridges, multiple networks, even like kind of the TV example you mentioned. How do you plan to stay relevant, you know, in this space? Because every week there are, even every day that this project's launching, how are you going to stay relevant compared to them?
Well, I think that relevance over time is just a big. It's hugely dependent upon what on the developer's intent, on the team's intent, right? They're like, if you think about the fact, well, not even the fact, but you mentioned it yourself.
Just to stop there, sorry. How many developers do you have in house?
In house, we have 17 currently.
17. Okay, and are they like full stack developers or?
Well, each developer is working on a specific section of the DEX or section of the platform. So obviously you have some guys who are working on the DEX itself, some guys working on the launch pad, some guys are working on the bridge, and so on and so forth. But yeah, back to what I was saying, relevance I think depends a lot on the team's intent. There are projects who, when they were leading into their launch, they had a lot of hype. Everyone was talking about them. They launched,
Yeah, exactly.
and a month later, the developers are nowhere to be found. So, for us, we've been around for a year. We've consistently been executing on our roadmap. Thanks. It's been a journey. It's not been easy at all. But it's at the end of the day, it's worth it. To be, we can look ourselves in the eye at the end of the day and say to ourselves, well, hey, we're doing what we said we were going to do. And so I think that's the big differentiator between a project having hype and staying relevant over the long term.
So right now you've got like quite a few utilities that are ready. But from the people out there observe it, they maybe argue that you are not adopting quickly enough. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it took PancakeSwap a year and a half before it really popped. I think it was a 7-figure market cap for 16 or 18 months before it finally took off. And so, I would say to people that you have to maintain your perspective, right? The space, it's a marathon, it's not a race. Obviously it's easy to look at projects that go to 50 or 100 million in the space of a few months, and develop a lot of holders, but what really does their app usage look like, right? I'll give you an example. Let's say Avalanche, right? Avalanche went to a massive market cap, into the billions last year, and earlier this year. But if you look at the users, the amount of transactions, and the volume of transactions on chain, it's much lower than you would expect based on the market cap, right? So, my answer to that would be, the adoption aspect. It's always going to take time, right? It's always going to take time, especially when you're building something that you want a large number of people to use. So, I would say patience.
I think as well, though, it maybe doesn't help that you started on Binance Smart Chain, right?
Right.
It maybe doesn't help that you started there, because a lot of people, have the perception of, Binance Smart Chain a year is a lifetime in terms of Binance Smart Chain projects. But I like that you've gone out of Binance Smart Chain, you've gone to different chains, and you've expanded. So, that's obviously a plus point. I think now is like kind of selling to people that you're not Binance Smart Chain, because even in my brain, I look back into the launch and I think, it's Binance Smart Chain, and I see other projects launching in this area and maybe not lasting like you do. But it seems like almost you're going through a different stage right now, from what I perceive. I know I have people commenting in my group saying, this is happening, that's happening. It seems like you're almost branching away from it and, reestablishing yourself.
Right. Yeah. Like, I definitely know what you mean. And it's something that, we've struggled with. Maybe struggle is not the best word, but that we've been dealing with for quite a while. The perception that we're just a smart chain project. And we definitely don't want to be perceived as such over time. We want to be perceived as more of a platform ourselves than just, those guys are just a BSC project. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of your marketing, like, I'm guessing you have a fairly decent budget. What is your plans for growth, and what markets are you going to target?
So plans for growth I mentioned earlier that we're engaging with a marketing agency that specializes in app-based marketing. On the crypto side, we're working with an individual, well, I guess an individual in his agency who They were behind quite a few bigger projects that have gone to the 9 and 10 figure market caps.
And can you talk about those projects? What are they?
Yeah, so one of them is Quint. Another one is
Okay.
Guard. He worked on Mini Doge as well, and a handful of others. And
Yeah.
working with him, what he gives us access to is a lot of the Asian markets. He gives us access to when we're ready to take the step, expedited listings on tier ones. He gives us access to some more unique marketing strategies that are going to allow us to grow more aggressively and more in line with our goals.
So you talk about Asian markets. You're probably aware that low tax is very popular in Asia right now. Well, what are your taxes?
Right now, our tax is, I believe it's 9% buy, 15% sell. But sorry, 1 second.
No problem. No problem.
Hold on 1 second. It's a 9% buy, 15% sell. And but the cool thing is we're gonna be lowering our taxes over time, right?
So what
as we continue. Well, our goal is to be at least a 5% on both sides. Five on the buy, 5 on the sell.
Okay. Is there any chance of it lowering to 0?
We're not ruling it out.
Yeah, I just feel like kind of, looking at all of the charts that are doing well at the moment, they tend to be like 0 or between 0 and 3%, that kind of range. Like the 7% or 10% not doing so well. So I do feel like long term, if it's going to succeed, then it would need to be a lower tax.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've noticed that as well in a few of the coins that have popped up in some groups that I've been. That yeah, I've seen the same range, 0 to 3, 0 to 4%.
Yeah. And just people are not as keen on it like right now, especially it seems the Asian community, you can see they've moved away from the typical high tax BSC projects. They moved on to the low tax ones. You can just see from the charts, the mooning, I've seen that Litecoin, CT, etc. And, a lot of them are mooned with very little utility. You have a lot of utility, so there's no reason why you cannot perform very well, but the tax may hold you back. That's just my observation anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with it.
So I know that you have some NFTs. I've not really looked into them to a great degree, but what are the benefits of them?
Yeah, so we have a set of NFTs on each chain that we're live on. On Ethereum, those NFTs give the holders a percentage of the bridge fees. So we're going to be setting aside 50% of fees generated by the bridge and redistributing those to holders. On the other three chains, the BSC, Brise, and Chronos,
Yeah,
those do a few different things. Number one, they give people whitelist access to pre-sales that have whitelisted functions, right? So they're just going to be grandfathered in automatically. They're not going to have to compete, let's say, in certain communities. But in addition to that, they're going to be able to stake those NFTs. So
nice.
there's two different pools. One is a single staking pool where they just stake the NFT and they'll earn Sphynx. And the other pool, they will stake the NFT and the Sphynx token itself on that chain, and they'll earn the native token of that chain. So like, for example, on the BSC, if you stake Sphynx BSC as well as a BSC NFT, then you earn BNB.
Okay, and how many of the NFTs have you sold on each chain?
Ethereum and the BSC, we sold out, so 2,083 on each of those. On Brise, I believe we sold around 200, and I believe on Chronos we sold around between 200 to 300.
Okay, so what was the amount of revenue you generated from the NFTs?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, just because they were sold in the native token themselves. At the time, the price fluctuated. Like there were some BSC NFTs that were bought when BNB was $500, and there were some that were bought when BNB was 200. So dollar amount, I couldn't tell you.
No problem. I put you on the spot there. So I just got a few questions from Twitter, which are maybe better than my questions. So you mentioned like kind of about the app, etc. You know, what are the transaction fees, and you know, from the transaction fees, you know, what's going to the holders or the NFT holders?
Right. So for the app itself, the transaction fees on the app are going to be the same as on the DEX. So I believe across all the teams, it's 0.03% of the transaction fee. Now, those fees go into a buyback wallet. So, you know, it goes right back into the chart.
Okay. In terms of those fees, are they smaller than competitors?
Then some, yeah, but they're pretty competitive. I think Uniswaps is 0.03%. Sushi Swaps is around the same. Pancakes, I believe, is either 0.02 or 0.03. MMF, I'm not sure exactly what theirs is.
Okay. And do you have a dashboard where it's, you know, easy to understand what the API multipliers, etc. is? You mentioned there's some passive income, is that right?
Yeah, we do have dashboards. So we have one that will show you analytics across the DEX, right? The volume, total value locked, etc. And then we also have a dashboard for the pools. So you can see on each pool, you know, how much is staked, what the APR is, etc., etc.
And as you know, we're heading towards more regulation. How does the business stand in terms of regulation? You know, are you fully KYC'd? Are you operating as a business, or will there be some kind of issues along the line?
Yeah, so yeah, we are KYC. We are operating as a business. We're registered fully in Dubai, and you know we've gotten 2 separate legal opinions on the business model that that state that we're fully compliant. So we're pretty well suited on that end.
So does that mean that you're registered in Dubai is at 0% tax, or
It's anywhere from 5 to 9% tax.
5 to 9? That's good. It's much better than me anyway. I know I'm registered in the UK and I have to pay 50% on a lot of my earnings, so it's considerably better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of security, then, you know, what security is on the mobile app? If I was to use it today, would I feel safe?
Yeah, I believe you would. You know, we have the same type of security that you could expect from an app like MetaMask. And one, you have a PIN that is going to be required when you unlock the app. And we have a few features built in on the back end to make sure that the users are protected, that they're not going to be compromised, using the app. Now, right now, the cool thing is hold on one second. Sorry, my son's acting up at soccer. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
Yeah, so sorry about that. What we come on, dude. Yeah, so we have a pin right now, pin security feature, and what's different about our app is we don't have. Yeah, go ahead. What's different about our app is we don't have a browser embedded, right? So at the moment, you're only going to be interacting with contracts that are either live on our DEX or on a router that's connected to our DEX. So a lot of the attacks that end up happening are because people will go to separate websites and interact with malicious contracts. Right now, you're not going to be exposed to that using our app.
Okay. Is there any plans for 2-factor authentication?
Yes. we're working on that actually right now.
Okay, I think that's really important because I know, like, I use Binance, etc., and I wouldn't feel comfortable using it unless it had two-factor on it.
Right. Yep, it's on our checklist of things to introduce.
Okay. So in terms of your NFTs, how are you going to ensure that they maintain value? Like there's many NFTs out there. What makes yours, how are they going to be valuable going into the future? What strategy have you got?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. I think on the Ethereum side, the value speaks for themselves. I mean, you're by holding one, you're going to be earning a passive income, right? You're going to be earning fees from the bridge, and for the others as
But
well, they
that's
provide you.
Ethereum now, but Binance Smart Chain NFTs are pretty bearish. I don't. I
I'm
would
talking
only
about
ever buy
Ethereum.
NFTs on ETH. Yeah, ETH I accept is good, but what about
Uh,
BSC?
well, BSC is the same idea, right? Like if you have the ability to stake um, an NFT and earn BNB, I think that's pretty valuable in and of itself, right? And
Mhm.
really, that was our goal when we created them. It wasn't to create a secondary market for them. It was where it
Mhm.
was to have a token that people are able to earn a passive income from on our platform, right?
Sure.
That was always the purpose of it. Now, if people want to resell them, they're able to do that, right? There are platforms where they can go ahead and do that.
Mhm.
But again, that wasn't something that we were thinking about when we created them. The goal was if you're gonna purchase one, then you know you have the ability to earn a passive income from it here on our platform. If that's not something that you want to do, well, hey, there are places where you can sell it at if you want.
Well, inevitably people die or they need to sell, so they are going to sell at some point. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
assume they're going to want, like, there's going to be some source of value, especially if you're long term going into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, and a lot of people worry about smart contract vulnerability, which has led to the loss of funds in many projects. How reliable is your smart contract, and have you tested through third parties?
You're talking about our token contracts, or
Well, I assume you have many contracts because
right?
obviously you've got many functionality. Has this been tested by third parties?
Yeah, all of our contracts, we get them audited by Certic.
Okay. So it's been tested through who, sorry?
Certic.
Certic. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The golden standard.
Yep.
Okay, nice. And was there any warnings or recommendations?
I mean, most contracts do come with recommendations. Ours had a few.
Mm-hmm.
To memory, I don't remember exactly what they were, but they weren't critical recommendations or critical vulnerabilities. They were just pretty fairly clerical. Lonzo, my partner, has more of the detail on that.
Okay. And is there any mechanism for, preventing attacks? There's a lot of people with unsavory motivation. Do you have mechanisms in place for the app or in the platform itself?
Sorry, I was muted. I was saying that smart contracts, inevitably they do have a bit of risk just because of the nature of contracts themselves. But a
Mm-hmm.
large majority of attacks that happen, they happen based on what's called reentrancy, and we do have mechanisms in place to prevent attacks from that vector.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, so another question is your aim to become the number one leader in cross-chain crypto platform? And if so, what is your biggest strength to achieve it?
Yeah, absolutely it is. I mean, I think that if you're going to set out to do anything, you may as well do it well, right? You may as well set out to be the best, if not one of the best. And right now, I think our big edge is our mobile app. If you look at most other decentralized platforms that are out there, they haven't produced anything close to what we've got. So that's really what we're going to be going hard on moving forward is pushing the app, making sure everything's integrated properly, running smoothly, and improving the overall user experience.
Sure. And I know your colleague, he's mentioned to me that you launch projects, right?
Like personally launch projects. What do you mean?
On the platform itself, like you do
Oh yeah,
stealth launches, pre-sales, etc. Is that right?
yeah. Other developers can come on and launch their projects on the platform. Mm-hmm.
And what's the process for that? Like, kind of, if I was to launch a token tomorrow, what would I do?
So you would get in contact with our team. Let's say if you wanted to do a pre-sale, there's a form that you would submit. We collect the relevant information from you, and from there you pay a small, well, depending on specifically what you want. If you just want to launch, you can go ahead and load up a pre-sale anytime. But if you want to be vetted and be placed in one of our tiers, then yeah, you would fill that form up. We would vet you, um, place you in your recording tier, and from there
Yeah.
you'd be able to move forward.
Okay. And could you talk about the verification process?
Yeah, so it's a few steps of the process. If you are looking to be a gold tier project, then obviously you're going to have to KYC. So we have you submit your. Hold on one second, Apollo, dude.
No worries.
Sorry. So you would submit your identity information with us. Obviously we do our due diligence. We look into your socials, your background, etc., and we hold on to that information.
Oh,
Why do
nice.
we hold on to it? Because if we find that something malicious was done, then we're going to release your information to the relevant parties. But aside from that, if you have a contract, we can look over the contract and make sure everything's good there. And if projects need help marketing or pushing or want to do AMAs, etc., then
Yeah.
we give you access to our resources to help on that end as well.
Okay, nice. And what kind of fees would I pay?
For launching a pre-sale itself?
Yeah.
So we charge a 0.1 BNB fee, and we take a small percentage of the BNB raise. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact percentage. I know we lowered it recently, but I think it's like 1% of BNB raise, something very very nominal. Yeah,
that's competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, compared to Gempad and Pink Sale, anyway. I'm not really sure about the other figures, but I know that they take more, for sure. Okay, then. Well, I think that's all the questions from me. Has anyone else got any questions on the call? If so, you can raise your hand if you want to.
Hi.
Hello, how are
Hello,
you?
have you got a question?
Yeah. I hope not too much noise behind me because I am on a walk. Yeah, I have a question. And first, congratulations for your investment that you got. My question about first part related to that. What was the evaluation figure that you got investment upon from and how they are represented in your general committee, the CEO committee or whatever you call. Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand it.
About the investment figure that $50 million, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What was the evaluation figure of the project? It seems the project in total that you got those that investment from upon. What was the project evaluation price figure number? I am asking, and how they are represented in your general committee. The investors.
Okay, so I guess it's a two-part question, right? Number one, what was the project valued at for us to receive a $50 million commitment? And two, does GEM have any weight in decision making on the project? So, it's funny. It's funny because when we initially spoke to GEM, we only asked for 25 million, and they came back and offered us 50. So we valued ourselves at least as worth $100 million as a project. And really, I know most people are going to say, "Oh, well, how can you say that based on the market cap of your token?" Well, the project is much bigger than just the token itself, and I think that's evidenced by the ecosystem that we've built and are continuing to build. And that's really what got them so interested and excited, is the fact that is a project, especially one that's on the BSC. We've developed so much within the last year and are continuing to develop moving forward. And the app as well. They're extremely excited about the app and really believe in that. But that being said, do they have any say in decision making on the project? No, they don't. They weren't buying any ownership in the company itself or any ownership in the project. They're looking to invest, and every investor just wants to make their return at some point.
Thank you. And very shortly about the Bryce chain. I lately we see the Bryce blockchain getting projects launched on it. Actually, what is your expectations from Bryce?
I mean, it's tough to say personally. I mean, I like Bryce as a chain. It's fast. The fees are very minimal, and the owner, speaking to him, that was one of his big goals, is to create an ecosystem of taxless projects and with low fees. I think it definitely has potential for adoption. How much, I'm not really sure, but I will say I do like Bryce, and I think they're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, guys. Good luck for the project.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Has anyone else got a question? Okay, if no one else has got a question, then I think we've had very informative AMA. Thank you for coming, B. It's been a great chance to speak to you and hear about Sphynx. Sorry. Yeah, it's been a good chance to catch up, and yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for you.
Thank you guys for having us. It was a pleasure. You guys had some great questions.
Yeah, sure. I hope it wasn't too arduous. Thank you for coming. I hope you manage to sort your day with your kid, and you have a good remaining of the day. Yeah.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye.